Let's talk benefits, shall we? Because a report has come out now that says a family living in benefits on London could be financially better off than a household earning £70,000 a year. This is about analysis that's been done for the Centre for Social Justice, basically, in the Telegraph as well, looking into that. Leslie, one of my viewers, got in touch at the start saying she's got ill health and she feels that there's a lot of benefit bashing going on. And I want to make this clear. If you need support, if you physically cannot work in this country, absolutely there should be a safety net to help you. That is literally what the welfare state is for. But when you start hearing, actually, people saying that you can earn more, and I use that term loosely, in benefits, than a household earning £70,000, something's not quite right there, is it?
Well, it's not been right, actually. This creep started about 30 years ago. And a lot of the problem is also housing benefit, particularly when you're looking in places like London. I mean, they're paying out for people in London. I'm not talking about our viewer, obviously, that has come in here. £1,000 a week in rent. It's just absolutely, it's exorbitant. And the whole point of the welfare system was to basically be a hand up. It was supposed to protect those who were most vulnerable. It was supposed to protect those, obviously, they had children or there were families with disabilities. Also, you lost your job, you're made redundant. We need to make sure that there's something in place, to make sure people then got the next foothold to get a job. And sadly, I'm afraid it's, in my view, it's been going on a long time and there's a huge amount of abuse in it. And so people like Leslie and others, I'd like to put up the state pension, for example. I'd like to give higher benefits for those who will never be able to work and are in very, very dire circumstances. But there's the amount of fraud in the system as well is absolutely enormous. So I don't think anybody's got a real grip of this yet, including us, and I don't think any incoming Labour government, if ever they come in, I'll try everything to do to stop them. I think they'll find this a bigger challenge than anybody.
I think it's certainly a huge challenge in the welfare system. But and you're absolutely right, Jacqueline, that the issue with housing benefit is because of the shortage of social housing. The government is subsidising the private rented sector to such an extent that in places like London with very high rents, that bill is huge. So one of the key things is we need to build more social housing so that the government is saving money on paying out for private landlords in areas of very high demand.
Who should have that social housing? Because I find it fascinating. They've got a Labour MP earning about just shy of 90 grand a year in social housing. Yeah,
I mean, obviously nobody on 90 grand a year gets social housing at they don't start in social housing then. There are a couple of Labour MPs who do live in social housing because they were on low incomes before they became MPs, and once you're in it, you stay in it. Now there is a question whether sort of tenancies for life in today's world are still appropriate. So that's a debate that can be had.
Do you think they are? Do you think that if you're earning 90 grand a year, and I'm not going to make this a bashing on a Labour MP.
No, I think
it's not about that. It's about I don't care who you are, quite frankly.
Yeah.
If you're getting 90 grand a year when the average salary in this country is like 30 odd, should you then be taking up a house that is reserved for people that apparently can't afford to get their own?
I think morally, if I was the MPs concerned, I wouldn't stay in social housing once my income had gone to that stage. Absolutely fine if they were in it for they had need. Clearly, people on 90 grand a year don't have needs. There's a strong case that they should perhaps be leaving that social housing, get themselves on the property ladder.
Listen, if somebody's been a member of Parliament for 12 months you don't stay in flats like that. You've also got an issue as well. This is where illegal immigration and various bad immigration policy comes in, because where there is social housing, we have people who've waited genuinely on lifts, families who've then had a child or two children, waiting years. Then we have people appear in the UK, and the next thing they're given flats and they're given houses.
Well, partly to temper that, Gordon Brown brought in a policy of local people being favoured.
It's not. I mean, we need the private sector to make sure there is rented accommodation. But the reality is, if you separate London out from the rest of the country, because it is pretty distinctive, going back to what Michelle said, the amount of money you're having to earn to actually to be worse off than getting benefits. This is completely the wrong
Absolutely, and we need to sort that out within the universal credit system. So if there are crazy things in it, they need to be stopped, because work should pay more than benefits. And the million people who are actually, of working age, they need to be, there are able to, vacancies. But I think it's important, as Leslie said, that we don't get into a culture of benefit bashing, but we get into a culture of making sure that benefits are effective and dealing with the need that there is.
Going to those who we know.
I agree, and we need more welfare to work programmes. The government hasn't done enough on welfare to work.
We've done loads of them, but we know that there are endemic problems here, and trying to deal with them is a nightmare, because as soon as we raise it, then you're seen as being cruel and
well, I think we can do more on work, because we've got to, and I think it's going to be a real big priority for if Labour comes into power, because people who need support into work need to be given it, because we need to make sure that people in the working age, if they're able to work, are working.
Yeah, I've got to say as well, this whole benefits bucket, because it is just a bucket, isn't it? And people shove everything in there. A lot of people will put pensions in that benefit bucket, and a lot of people go, whoa there, Tiger, a pension, state pension is not a benefit. People have chipped in and they've paid for that, thank you very much. So people don't like that. But also, it must be so frustrating if you are like Leslie, or if you're someone who physically, you can't work, I don't know, you might even be caring for someone else full-time and therefore you can't work, to be tarred with this same brush.
Absolutely. That's why the tone of the debate is so important, as you say, so that we don't, you know, I think we should be proud that people who need benefits get them, but we should work with those who don't need to be on benefits to get them back into work.
Yeah, you get people with disabled children going through hoops to try and make sure that they're getting the correct benefits. And we have got people, I know people who have spent their entire lives and they've never had a job.
And they need to be targeted with welfare to work.
They were perfectly fit to work. And it's outrageous, frankly.
I think we agree.